Hi, I'm Lee. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're having a lovely day. I'm a short, overweight, middle-aged white dude. I've got thinning brown hair, black glasses, I'm wearing a grey t-shirt, and I'm sitting in my office with a few coloured lights behind me. And in this video, we're going to be having a look at this. This is the Saramonic Ultra, which is their new sort of high-end wireless microphone system. And let's first talk about a little bit about the specs and the price, and then we're going to get into the details and all that kind of stuff because there's tons of details to go into. So to begin with, in the US, I believe this is shipping for $250 for just the wireless mic system and $299 if you are wanting it with the lavs included. In Australia, it's available for $419, let's just round it out to $420 for the system, and $468, I believe, for the system with the lavalier microphones. Now, some of the headline specs is it'll do 32-bit float, it's got timecode, it's IPX5 water resistant / waterproof, so you can fire a hose sort of thing at it and it'll be all right. Don't fire a hose at it, but it's more if you get caught out in the rain and stuff like that. It's got 8 gigs of onboard storage on the microphone / transmitters. That'll give you 15 hours of recording on 24-bit and 10 hours of recording of 32-bit, and I believe the battery life is about 8 hours, I want to say. Yeah, the battery life is about 8 hours. I haven't tested that. The range is 250 meters line of sight, and you actually get this antenna that you can add to the receiver, and that'll give you 300 meters range. I mean, that's pretty rangy range. Now let's get into some details and have an actual play with it. So the first thing I want to have a look at is I really like the look of the unit. Like I like what they've done with the design, and what I like about it is it's kind of like ye old-timey camera case kind of thing, and that extends to the actual unit. So if we actually open it up, there is the receiver, and you can see the receiver also looks like a little ye old camera, like hello, click 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 click. Some nice features about the receiver. So this area here, this is a touch screen at the top, so you can make changes and stuff. You can also use this dial to make changes, and then just click on that to select any of the buttons, to select sort of buttons that you're selecting, and then to get out you just push up, flick up, and that gets you out. So that is how you use that. This button down here, this will lock your screen, and it'll unlock the screen as well. And if you hold down that button, that will also switch the unit off, and then hold it down, that'll switch it on. In terms of connectors and things like that, you have a USB-C down here on the bottom. This is a multi-port connector, and what that's for is in the box you get these adapters, and so that gives you USB-C. So if you want to plug it into a computer, or if you want to plug it into a phone, this is more sort of to plug it into phones. If I was using it with a phone, you'd plug it into the bottom of a phone like that. You also get a lightning adapter, so if you want to use it with an iPhone or one of the older iPhones that don't come with USB-C, that'll plug into lightning. And then you have your 3.5mm headphone jack, and that'll let you take stuff out to your camera if you're going out to a camera. So that is your receiver. You then have your 2 transmitters / microphones, and again they've got that sort of ye old timey sort of chain, you know, that kind of look to it, that sort of, it is plastic, it's not actual leather, but it's designed to look like the old camera leather, which I think is kind of cool. You got this light in here, and what that represents is, that represents a couple of things. So to begin with, if you want to mute it, you push this little blue button, and that will mute it, and then it'll flash red, and then you know that is muted. So again, you push it again, and that unmutes it. If you want to turn the recording off, so if it's red solid, you know it's recording, there is a recording button on here, so you push that and that will stop the recording. I've got these set up in the app to automatically record as soon as I pull them out of the case. This is a battery case as well, by the way, which is nice, so when you pop them in there, it starts charging all of the units. You've then got a noise cancellation button, which is interesting. So when you push that, this light will go green, and that is now activated noise cancellation. And I've shot some samples with that I'll play for you in a little bit. So that is your noise cancellation. This is your microphone up here on the top. You then have a 3.5 millimeter jack to plug in your lav mic. So again, if you just want to plug in your lav mics, and that'll work with most lav mics. There are some lav mics that I've actually discovered this doesn't work with, unfortunately. This is the first little thing that could be better with these. So I normally use, for example, what I've got on at the moment is a Sanken COS 11, which is fairly standard in documentary film work. You'll normally either be using a Sanken or a Countryman. and for some reason my Sanken doesn't work with this. I've reached out to Saramonic and they're going to have a look at it and try and work out what's going on. And if there's any updates, I'll update down in the comments or in the description and let you know what's going on. But at the moment, I've tested it and it works fine with my Rode mics. It works fine with obviously the lav mics that it came with, but it doesn't seem to work with my Deity lav mics, and it doesn't seem to work with my Sanken mics. So that's just something to be aware of. But again, you're probably going to be using either the mics that it came with, or if you've got some Rode stuff, you've probably got some Rode lavs, so the Rode lavs work just fine with that. So that is the unit. It does come with this battery. Comes with this magnet, and this magnet is ridiculously strong. So that allows you to sort of just pop it on you like that if you are going to use it hanging on you. And one thing to be aware of, I'm going to do this so you don't have to. Don't get these too close, because once those magnets connect, you can separate them, but it's a bit of a mission. So don't like I've just found sometimes that I'll just sort of have these out on the table near each other, and if they get too close, that happens. So yeah, these magnets are they're serious business. In fact, what I find easiest to separate them is put them on the back there, and then just, because there's a little bit of yeah, there we go. So there's those magnets there. So that is looking at the units. Now, in terms of how it all works, let me take you through some of the settings that you have on here. So to begin with, this adjusts your dB on the receiver. So you can adjust dB in various different ways. dB is basically like your volume. Oh, I should explain the other two headline things. So 32-bit float, which works when you're recording directly onto your microphones / transmitters. 32-bit float, what that basically means is that your audio's got a far wider dynamic range in terms of the softest bits and the loudest bits. So if I'm speaking really, really softly, then it can hear me just fine. And if I then start speaking really, really loudly, it doesn't clip the mics. You've got that wider range. It's not huge, but it'll go up to, I think it's 130 hertz, which is pretty darn high in terms of it can handle the loudest and the softest sort of ranges. So 32-bit float is really good. But the other really interesting and cool bit is that it actually has timecode as well. So it will record timecode on the two mics / transmitters, and you can also use the receiver as a timecode unit, and it'll do timecode jamming. What that means, I should explain first what timecode is in case you don't know. So what timecode is if you're recording an interview with multiple cameras. In fact, an example like this is how I'm recording myself on this camera, and then I'm recording myself on that camera. So I've got my iPhone 15 Pro Max here, and I've got my iPhone 15 Pro up there. And sometimes, I mean, this is, you know, these microphones are right next to each other, so it's fine. It's not a big deal. But if you've got, let's say you're recording a music concert or something, you know, something at a theater, or something basically like where your cameras aren't near each other and your cameras may not be getting the same audio, and then you need to sync it, and your audio is not good enough for your software to work out how to sync it. If you've got time code on all of those cameras, well, then you've got an exact time, and all of those cameras are recording with the same time code, so it's very easy to sync them in post. Now, something to keep in mind though is that your camera does have to support timecode jamming if you don't have this plugged in. So if you've got this plugged into your camera, so if this is plugged into your camera, once you've gone into the timecode, you can see that it's got mode 1, mode 2. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I'll put it up on the screen if I need to. So you can have multiple different modes of timecode. And so one of the modes of timecode you can have, which is a fairly sort of stock standard one, is that you can have the audio that's coming out here on, you know, track on the left-hand track, it'll have your audio, but on the right-hand track, it'll be pushing out like a kind of noise like that, which is actually the time code, and you can use that to sync. So the camera that this is plugged into, that's cool, that's got the time code going in. But if you want to have the time code going on other cameras, those cameras either have to be able to have time code jammed to them, and trust me, if you've got a camera that does that, you'll know. For example, like a Sony FX3, I've got a Sony FX6 that's got an actual, you know, timecode jammed thing in. So yeah, all of your things need to have the timecode jammed into them in order to be able to use a timecode. Otherwise, you'd need multiple units on these on each one of the cameras to have the timecode going. So it depends on how high-end your cameras are, whether that timecode is useful. But having said that, if you're someone who's into timecode and you know that you need timecode, your cameras probably do that. So that's not really an issue, is it? going through a little bit of what you get in the box. So this is the sort of the full package with the lavalier mic. So you've got your charging case. So really nice that this is actually a charging case. You've got your 2 lavalier mics. They're okay. I think they're perfectly fine. I am an audio snob, so I'm used to my my Sanken Cos 11s, which are like, basically one of my lav mics cost more than this whole system. So that's the kind of audio that I'm used to. But for most people, I think these mics are absolutely fine. I would prefer if the head was a little bit smaller, so it'd be easier to hide, like under a t-shirt or something, but perfectly useful. And I think having lavs, and I think for the extra little expense to get the lavs, I think you absolutely should, because I just think I think having this clipped on you, if you have to, look, it's better to have good audio, so rather have good audio and have that clipped on you. But I'd much rather that you have a lavalier mic clipped on your shirt, like I do here, and hidden away so people don't see it. I know I'm being really pedantic here, and this is just I'm a grumpy old man, this is my thing, but I feel like if someone sees the microphone, it kind of ruins a little bit of the magic. So I'd much rather have this lavalier plugged in and this in your pocket and this sort of taped to your shirt and hidden and so on. So if you are looking at it, I'd say get the lavalier one. You've got the little antenna, which is really cool. So this allows you to extend the range from 250 meters to 300 meters. Most times, I mean, it's rare that I think I'd ever need this, but there you go, you get the antenna. You also get your little furry jobbies for the microphones. You also get I mean, it'd be a dead cat on a bigger thing, but this would be a dead, not even a hamster. What's gerbil? Really? Dead baby gerbil. Gross. I really like how these are designed. I don't know how well you can see that on the inside there, but this is really well done, because the way that this clips on, it's got the clips on the side and it goes into the mic, the 3.5. So it's really easy to get that clipped on. That is not going anywhere, but it's also really easy to take off. So you could theoretically put it on and take it off one-handed, which some other microphone systems like this aren't that easy to get this on and off. So I appreciate the thought and design that's gone into that. And you also get little clips for your lav mics. You get your 3.5 to 3.5 TRS, I believe, or TCR. You know what I mean. This to plug into your camera. And then you've got your USB-C cable as well. So if you want to plug that into that. Also, to get the recordings off of this, you can use, there's a USB port on these. So you plug that in and then plug that into your computer. And that's how you copy the audio off of this if you need the audio on that. Having said that, very rarely, unless you need to use the 32-bit float audio, very rarely will you actually need to use the recordings off of this, or if the transmission has failed for some reason and therefore you haven't actually gotten the audio out of these wirelessly into those onto your camera. Yeah, the 32-bit float on there, it's great to have, but very rarely you're going to use it. But when you do need it, oh my goodness, will it be useful. Now let's have a quick look at some sample audio that I recorded yesterday to see how the noise cancellation and some of the wind reduction stuff works. Right, now this is a quick test of the audio when we've got, this is quite a windy spot here, so the wind is blowing over, so I'm just wondering how much of the wind you're picking up on me. And if I push the noise cancellation button, that has activated the noise cancellation, I believe. So let's see what this sounds like with the noise cancellation turned on and with the noise cancellation turned off. So that's a quick test of that. This is now recording with the Saramonic with its wind cover. Again, the wind has picked up quite a bit, so it is quite windy. So I'm hoping that the wind cover is helping a fair bit. I'm not speaking too loudly, I'm not speaking too softly, I'm speaking sort of averagely. And I'm going to remove the wind cover and we'll see what difference that makes. The wind's really picked up now, so hopefully the wind's doing well. And this is now the audio without the wind cover. And now let's turn on the noise cancellation. I don't think the noise cancellation is really designed to cut out wind. I think it's more designed to cut out, getting rid of a busy spot. And we'll do some tests in the busy spot as well. Noise cancellation off. Put the wind. I do like how the wind cover sort of like really clips on. That's quite nice. And again, this is the wind cover on, and I'm just curious to see what it sounds like with the wind cover on and noise cancellation turned on. So that's noise cancellation turned on with the wind cover on, and we'll see what that sounds like. I'm going to turn on noise cancellation and let's see how good or bad this is. That was the mute button. Let's not push that. So let's go ahead and push noise cancellation. So it goes green, and you know that the noise cancellation is on. So this is noise cancellation version 3. I'm not going to go through all the 3 different ones. I think this will just give you a good idea. Now, in my earlier testing, the noise cancellation works pretty darn well. So I'm going to expect that it's going to work pretty well here, and it's been fairly impressive. I'm just going to cut now, and then I'm going to put I'm going to use the lav mics that came with the Saramonic first, and I'm going to use another lav mic, the Rode lav mic, and to see what the noise cancellation works and how it works with the lav mics as well. So, quick cut. So this is the lav mic that you get with the lav mic package. This is with the noise cancellation turned off. This is now with the noise cancellation turned on, so we're now going to see how good or not good the noise cancellation is. I found in previous sets that the noise cancellation is pretty darn good, so I'm going to expect this to be fairly good. And I'm now just going to quickly try it with the Rode mic, and then I think this is our test done. This is now testing with the Rode mic. This is the Rode lavalier mic. This is the noise cancellation turned off, and now I'm going to turn the noise cancellation on. So we've now turned the noise cancellation on, and now let's see how good or not good the noise cancellation is or isn't with the Rode lav mic. So that is that test. So as you can hear, outside with the wind environment, the noise cancellation did a pretty good job. Inside in the loud airport terminal, it did get a little bit crunchy. So I think it depends on, your mileage is going to vary very much depending on the situation where you use it. I don't know how often I would use the noise cancellation that's built into these microphones. The reason for that is that I would rather capture the audio completely like au naturel, as it were, because I know that I can fix it in post. Like I'm a video editor. That's sort of where my background is. So I've got, Isotope RX. I've got Final Cut's voice reduction. I've got DaVinci Resolve. I've got Premiere. I've got Avid. I've got all the softwares that I can use to do noise reduction in post. So for me, I would rather record the audio au naturel and do the noise cancellation in post if I need to. But I can see where having the noise cancellation recorded live could be handy. Number one, if you're doing a live event, you might need the noise reduction there. But also if you are doing a lot of stuff for online that needs to be, recorded, edited, and pushed out really quickly, I can see how you may not have time, or you may not have the, like, let's say you're just cutting it on your phone, you might not want to do the the noise cancellation there, so you could just do the noise cancellation just built in like that. So I can see areas where you would use that noise cancellation with the built-in stuff, though unless I'm doing live, normally wouldn't. So let's have a look at the features that you have of this touchscreen, because there's actually quite a lot of things you can do. So first of all, you can just click and then adjust the dB and volume of each of your transmitters. You can then adjust the volume of the receiver. You can then flick up, and that brings up your menu. So for example, in output, you can change it to mono, stereo, and all that good stuff. You've then got, and yep, we select that, and then you just flick up, and then you can adjust your volume. You've got your mic gain, you've got your auto gain, you've got your sound. Within your sound, these are sort of editing functions that you've got. So you can have original, you can have vocal boost, you can have low cut. Actually, I'm just going to go back to original because I like it au naturel. You've got record settings, so again, you can change it. You can turn your 32-bit off, you can turn your 32-bit on, you can have auto recording on or off. You can adjust the speaker volume, so there is actually a little speaker in here. Where that might be useful is, for example, if you are on set and you've forgotten your headphones, you just need to quickly listen back to what you recorded on here. That might be useful. You've got your timecode settings, so again, you can change stuff that you need to do in timecode, so you can change from real time to free time, all that good stuff. You've got your pairing, so if you've unpaired for some reason, you can update the pairing. You can adjust the brightness and the backlight of the display. Then you've got just your basic sort of system stuff. So a lot of things that you can do with this touchscreen actually on the device, which I think is really, really nice. You can do it on the device. So let me just show you a little bit about what you can do when it's plugged into your phone and some of the settings you can handle when it's on your phone. Now, one thing that I have noticed is that sometimes if you go into another app and then go back, it doesn't come right away. Now, if you go into the Saramonics, if you go to the Saramonic app right away, this is normally what you get as the default view. So it will be using this audio, and you can see that it's using USB audio, but it's not obvious sort of how to get out of this. So if you just tap on the little house in the top left-hand corner, that allows you to go out here, and you can see Saramonic Ultra Device Management. You go into that. Now, I got confused the first time that I tried to connect this because I tried to connect it via Bluetooth. Unfortunately, it doesn't connect via Bluetooth, so you do have to plug it into the phone, like I've got it plugged in there, so physically, in order to make adjustments via the app. So you can see here, we can change our recordings, to mono stereo, all that kind of stuff. We've got speaker place. You can also, there's a little speaker on there. I suppose if you didn't have headphones, you need to quickly check how your audio sounded. You record, you stop record, you play it back. That could be useful. Again, so you can adjust your dB. So that's your dB settings for your receiver, not the transmitter. You've got the transmitters down here, and then you can start the recordings on the transmitters. You can turn the noise cancellation on. You can see there that as I'm doing it on here, so there's noise cancellation on, noise cancellation off. I've got record off. I've got record on. I've got mute on, I've got mute off, and it's really, really responsive just in terms of how quickly that responds. It shows you how much recording time you've got left. I don't know why that's, I suppose this one's 0 because I guess I've done a lot. Now, that's a good thing to talk about in terms of what happens if you've used all the storage on here. What it'll do is it'll delete the oldest recording and start a new one. So it won't just stop recording, it won't not record, it will delete the oldest one. And if you've got a recording that's like 10 hours or 15 hours worth of audio back, hopefully you've backed up since then, so that shouldn't be an issue. But you can format all the storage on there from here. You can see that it's got noise cancellation grade 3. We'll get into that in a minute. So there's 3 different grades of noise cancellation. I didn't find a huge difference between all of them, but if you've got a chance to try these out, try them out and see. Here you can adjust the gain on the actual transmitters. So here's where you can do that. You can also do that on the actual receiver bit as well. So I'll show you how that when I've unplugged it. You can see there that this is where you go to down at the bottom to update your firmware if there's a firmware update. Now with the time code, these are the different timecode modes that you've got. So the default one, the top one is showing that little sort of circle one. That's showing what's being pushed out through the headphone jack. The headphone jack on the receiver. And the bottom one is showing what's being pushed out via the USB-C plug. So this is where you would, sort of jam it out. So you've got mode 2, you've got mode 3, you've got mode 4, you've got mode 5. Mode 5 is probably what you put it in if you want to go and jam it into all of your other timecode devices. So it jams that out. But I would normally just go with mode 1, and that's fairly stock standard. And this is where you turn the timecode on. So you do need to turn timecode on. I normally leave it off because very rarely am I actually using timecode with this kind of a setup. You do also, very important, to match the frame rate of your timecode to the frame rate of your camera. So if you're recording at 29.9 frames per second, set at 29, and so on and so forth. Then the last thing to look at in here is if we go into more settings, you can see here we've got tons of other settings. So you can do auto recordings. This is where these ones will just start recording automatically when they come out. You've got auto gain. This is where you set your noise cancellation grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and I'm just going to leave it on grade 3. You've got low gain, auto gain. I find leaving on an auto gain, again, the advantage of these is just to pop them out and just pop them in and away you go sort of thing. And this is where you've got your time code settings as well, so you can set the time. This is if it's going for time of day, but you can also set your time code, and we'll just go back out here, to free running or real time. Normally if it's going to camera, I generally go with free running, because you can see there it's set, it just sort of, it's a long sort of thing. I'll do a whole thing about timecode another time if you're interested. Something I like about this app is that when you're using the dB, you can see that there's a little lines and it sort of snaps to the points. I find sometimes if it doesn't have those snap points, once you get past 1, you're like, oh, I need to get back to, and you keep sort of going a little bit too far. So I like the fact that it's very easy to snap to 1. Something else that I like, which actually I just noticed, is that if I start moving that, you notice if well, you can't actually see it, but my hand is not actually on the line, so I can actually adjust. So I need to put my finger on the line, but then if I move my finger down, I can see what I'm doing without my finger over the line. So I like that. That's well done, Saramonic. That's a really nice feature of the app. One little caveat, and I've reached out to Saramonic about this as well to find out if maybe I'm doing something wrong or if this is just a setting. Something that I found which is a bit of an issue, or could be an issue, is that in order to use the app with the receiver, you do need to have an internet connection. So when I was out and about yesterday doing the samples for the noise cancellation, I was doing it on one of my phones that doesn't have a cell chip in it. So it had no internet and it wouldn't let me connect to that without having a cell connection, which could be an issue potentially. I mean, you can do a lot on the receiver, you can do a lot on the receiver anyway. The last little thing that I want to show you with the physical side of it, and this is again one of those things where, you know, I've reached out to Saramonic and they will let me know how they're going. One little thing I've noticed is the clip on this is a little bit too narrow. Now, I've tried this on camera, so when I go into the cold shoe on my cameras, it works perfectly fine. It holds in place, not an issue at all. But on things like this iPhone case, and basically any sort of, I've only tested on small rig, but any small rig cages that I've got, this is too narrow and it doesn't actually hold it in place. So if you're filming like this, that's perfectly fine. It does jiggle a bit, but it's, you know, it is what it is. But if you're, you know, filming something above you, that could be an issue. So if I was going to use it on these a lot, which I probably would, I think what I would probably do in those instances is I would just add a little bit of rubber in here or something, just to, I don't know if you can see it, but it's just not quite sort of thick enough to hold in place. So yeah, it's not a huge deal, and I don't see it being an issue all that often, but just something to be aware of with that. So what do I think of the Saramonic Ultra? First of all, I really like the playfulness of the design. I love how it, you know, click, 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 looks like a, you know, ye old timey leather camera case sort of thing. Bang for your buck, I think this is a really good system. So, like, you know, for $420, let's just say $470 with the lav mics, you may as well just get the one with the lav mics. I think it's really good bang for your buck. The fact you've got wireless system with 250, potentially 300 meters range, 2 microphones that you can plug lavs into. They've got onboard recording, 32 bits, 10 hours worth of recording, 8 hours of battery life. You've got noise cancellation built in as well. Yeah, the specs are really good. Timecode, water resistance. For what you're getting, I'm really, really impressed. Couple of little caveats. They need to work out the stuff with the St. Cost 11s. They need to do something about the clip with certain cages. It's fine with cameras, so I'm perfectly comfortable recommending that you put it in the cold shoe on your camera. Just test it in the cold shoe on any cages that you've got, just in case. The nice little thought behind how the wind muff works. Yeah, I think it's a really, really good system for the price. Even not for the price, just overall, it's a really good system. So yeah, definitely have a look at the Saramonic Ultra. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it was useful. If you have found it useful or helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much for your support, and we'll catch you on the next one. Safe and happy, whatever it is you're doing. In this video, you're in a hurry, aren't you? Yes. Let's try that without swallowing our tongue this time. Right, well, I'm here at a really nice lousy, well, it's Jetstar, so it kind of is lousy. Friends don't let friends fly Jetstar. Yep, so there we go. There's a guy driving without a shirt. P-platers, that's interesting. There's a couple of little things where, you know, what were the things? I don't remember. Oh, I need to sneeze now. Hi, I'm Lee. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're having a lovely day. I'm a short, overweight, middle-aged. I need to sneeze. Come on. Okay. At this price point, that you've got 32-bit float. Oh, I've done it again.